There's an expression among professional poker players that if within an hour of sitting at the poker table you can't spot the sucker at the table, then you are the sucker. Now, I learned that lesson back in law school, watching too many movies and playing in poker games a little too far over my head. And then again, I felt similarly when I was losing money in the stock market to some high-frequency trading algorithms, which are basically robots made of code that can make as many trades in a second as you can in your lifetime. And in both of those circumstances, I had to recognize that I was the sucker. I was the one who didn't belong at the game. Or in the words of Joshua, the computer from War Games, the only winning move was not to play. And I think the first 20 years of this century have taught us some lessons about some of our myths that we have as a society. That Horatio Alger myth, that idea that solo individual, the Luke Skywalker, can work his way up with nothing, pick himself up by his bootstraps and defeat the whole empire, all on the strength of his wit or moxie or personal zeal. That image, if you've noticed, has kind of gone away from popular culture. In a lot of these, certainly during COVID times, we've been inundated with an entire universe of Marvel superheroes and a league of justice super warriors. And so the lesson in our Torah teaches is that it's not good for a person to be alone. And yet there are some aspects of who we are, of our thoughts, of our beliefs, of our identities that we might want to keep to ourselves. Maybe we don't want the whole world to know about the childhood lovey that we still sleep with. It's precious to us. It's not for public consumption or ridicule. Or maybe there's something more precious than that. Maybe it concerns what's going on inside our bodies or our souls. And maybe we want to protect that too and to keep those spaces holy. Judaism, the religion as we practice it and as understand it, is to create those spaces in which we can keep the world at bay so that we can protect those things which are most important to us, those things which are holy. But as I think we've seen over the past year, when the public concern and health and safety demands it, those sacred places of ours, our synagogues, our funeral homes, and even the sanctity of our own bodies can be infringed and imposed upon for the sake of the greater good. And for some of us, this is obvious and this goes without saying. And for other of us, there are aspects of personal autonomy and giving up that is a real struggle. And I think this entire year has been for all of us. But I want to share one point about the Passover Seder, which is that at the Seder, there is no sucker. Around that table, everybody is welcome, right? We hold up very early on in the service the pizza of matzah. And what do we say? We say, "This is the bread of affliction, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. All who are hungry, let them enter and eat. All who are in need, let them come and celebrate Passover with us. Now we are here next year in the land of Israel. Now we are enslaved. Next year we will be free." And on Saturday night, we are going to recite those words and we're going to say, "Let all who are hungry come and eat," whether or not they look like us, whether or not they think like us, whether or not they believe like us. The Passover Seder is the most practiced of all Jewish rituals because no one around that table is the sucker. No one is uninvited. No one is not supposed to be there. No one is a bad Jew. Everyone is welcome to join. We're all part of one family. Now, this idea is expressed in one of the elements of the Haggadah, and that's the section that deals with the 4 children, all of whom are invited to the table, no matter how uncooperative or argumentative they may be. So the question that I want to ask you as we approach Pesach this year is, which child are you? as you go into your Passover Seder, which one do you identify with this year? Are you the wise one? Maybe you're the one who is so quick to tell everyone how everything works and how everything is supposed to be. Like those people maybe who go around correcting everyone who isn't using a mask properly. Sort of the wise know-it-all. Maybe that's you. Or maybe you're the one who doesn't know how to ask, who walks into our morning minyan or our Shabbat services and maybe doesn't understand a single word that we're saying. Maybe you're afraid that you'll do something wrong or get yelled at or shamed for not knowing. And so you remain silent, afraid of doing the wrong thing. Or maybe this year you feel like the wicked one who says, forget this, that this is just a continuation of the white patriarchy, and we should overturn this table and this Seder plate because the continuation of it simply serves to keep the wicked in power and the oppressed in servitude. Now, the wicked one is no dummy. He or she can see through all of the BS and the rituals that we might be doing but don't have meaning anymore, that we don't feel what we should feel, or perhaps we've created an app for it, or perhaps it's part of the rituals that we still do, which were created to be exclusive to men, and then only later clumsily adjusted to include women and other forgotten peoples and identities. And the wicked child will ask, why are we wasting our time with all of this when there's so much work to be done on the outside? And finally, the last child is the simple child. Maybe this is you. It's the one that I most identify with, or I guess I should say it's the one I most want to be. It's the one who doesn't need any fancy explanations or equations. It's the one who doesn't understand or trust algorithms or even numbers, really. He or she is the simple one who just believes that there are things in this world that are far beyond our capacity to grasp or to make meaning of. And in this child's simplicity, they choose to live a life without fully knowing everything, but with the simple belief that there is a God, that this God cares about us, cares about you and me individually, and that the rest will unfold on God's time. And that our current dilemma, maybe the simple one thinks, is just one of many that has plagued humanity throughout history, and like those before us, this one will come and will go. But perhaps most simply what will remain, God willing, is this table, this conversation, this ritual, and this Seder. And the truth is, those 4 children, that's all of us. We open the door for all of them to enter and to join our Seder, and we'll even keep that door open towards the end of the Seder in case Elijah decides that today's the day that he wants to come back in and tell us that the Messiah is on his way and that all of our troubles are going to be healed. And we are welcoming all of them, Elijah included, to participate in the Passover and to take this journey with us. No matter what they might have done in the past, no matter how they might feel, they are a part of us. So, to conclude, I just want to say, Chag Sameach. However you are doing your Seder this year, whether it's online or off, whether it's kosher or treif, I want you to remember to invite all of those guests, whether we like them or not, and make room for them. And even if you're doing this by yourself. In fact, our Talmud teaches that if you find yourself alone on the night of the Seder, you are still required to have a Seder, and you are still required to ask the 4 questions. And maybe the reason for that is that even when we are alone, all of those children are still present with us. So I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, a Chag Sameach, and may all of us find peace and freedom from all of that which oppresses our world in this new season. And let us say,